Before this month ends, something in your life is going to begin aligning in a way you have been waiting for, and by the end of this video you will understand the 11 specific ways that alignment is already happening, and what you can do to make sure you are positioned to receive every bit of it. For Scorpio, alignment is not a casual word. It is not a vague hope or a pleasant thought. When your life begins to align, it aligns at every level, from the practical to the emotional to the spiritual. Things fall into place not one at a time but in a cascade, each piece finding its position and making room for the next. That cascade is what is beginning right now before this month closes. And the 11 ways it is showing up are already visible if you know where to look. So stay here with me through all 11 because each one is a piece of the larger picture. And the larger picture for you right now is one of genuine and lasting alignment with who you truly are and what your life is truly meant to be. Way 1. The first way life is beginning to align for you is through the slow but unmistakable simplification of your inner world. For a long time, things have felt complicated inside, not in a dramatic or crisis-level way, but in the steady, wearing way of someone who carries a great deal. Too many unresolved questions. Too many competing feelings that do not quite resolve into a single clear answer. Too many threads of thought that pull in slightly different directions. That inner complexity has made even simple decisions feel demanding, and simple days feel heavy. It has been like trying to navigate with 10 maps spread out at once, each one pointing somewhere slightly different. What alignment does, in its first and most foundational movement, is quiet that competing complexity. Not by eliminating the real texture and depth of your inner life. Scorpio would not want that, and it would not be right for you to have that. But by helping the pieces begin to organize around a center. A clear center, a core sense of what matters most, what is real, what is true, around which everything else can arrange itself. When that center clarifies, the navigation becomes simpler. Not easy necessarily, but clearer. You stop feeling pulled in 10 directions because you know which direction is yours. Over the course of this month, watch for moments when something inside you simply settles. Not because a problem has been solved or a situation has changed, but because something has clarified. A question that has been unanswered for months suddenly feels less urgent, not because you have stopped caring, but because you have arrived at enough clarity that the urgency of the question dissolves. A feeling that has been complicated and tangled suddenly reveals itself as simpler than you thought, as one clear feeling with a clear name and a clear message, rather than the tangle it seemed to be. These moments of inner simplification are the first way life is aligning for you. They are small but they are foundational. Everything else that aligns over the course of this month will be built on this. On the growing clarity and simplicity of your inner world. Honor it when it comes. Notice it, acknowledge it, let yourself rest in it. It is the first brick in a structure that is being built with more care and more rightness than anything you have tried to construct through sheer will alone. Way 2. The second way your life is aligning is through a shifting of your circumstances. Small at first, perhaps barely noticeable, but real and directional. Things in your outer world are beginning to arrange themselves differently. Not through dramatic events or major upheavals. Alignment rarely arrives that way. More through a series of small but meaningful developments. A door that was closed is slightly ajar. A situation that seemed stalled has a new variable in it. An opportunity that seemed remote is suddenly more accessible. A resource, whether that is time or connection, or simply the right information arriving at the right moment, appears where it was absent before. These circumstantial shifts can be easy to dismiss as coincidence or luck. And for some signs, that dismissal would be harmless. But for Scorpio, who has always had a deep and reliable sense that things are connected, that nothing in a life of genuine engagement is entirely random, dismissing these shifts is a mistake, because they are not random. They are the outer world responding to the inner world's clarification. They are circumstances reorganizing around the center that you have been finding. They are alignment in action showing up in the practical, visible, day-to-day reality of your life. The key when you notice these circumstantial shifts is to respond to them attentively, not to force them or to manage them too aggressively, but to show up for them. When the door is slightly ajar, walk over and look through it. When the situation has a new variable, engage with what that variable means and where it might lead. When the opportunity is closer than it was, take the next step in its direction. Do not wait for complete certainty before you move. Alignment requires your participation. It requires you to meet the outer shifts with inner readiness and outer action. If what you're hearing feels accurate, Imagine what could happen if you applied this energy intentionally for 21 consecutive days. That's exactly what the 21-day program in the pinned comment is built for. Daily guidance, focused direction, and real momentum. If you're tired of staying in the same cycle, this is your structure. Way 3. The third way life is aligning for you before this month ends is through your relationships beginning to find their right level. Some connections are deepening, becoming more honest and more nourishing. Others are naturally falling away without drama, simply because the energy that sustained them is no longer there. And possibly 1 or 2 new connections are appearing that feel, from their very beginning, as though they belong in your life, as though they are part of something you have been building toward rather than something you stumbled into. For Scorpio, the state of your relationships is never separate from the state of your life overall. You are a sign for whom connection is oxygen. When your relationships are real and deep and honest, you can endure almost anything else. When they are hollow or untrustworthy or draining, even good circumstances feel bleak. And so when your relationships begin to align, when the ones that are right are deepening and the ones that are not are releasing, your whole life feels different. More supported, more real, more worth the effort it takes to live it well. The deepening of certain connections over this month will be one of the most noticeable and most gratifying aspects of the alignment you are experiencing. Watch for the conversations that go deeper than expected. Watch for the moments of genuine understanding when someone truly gets what you mean, or when you truly get what someone else means, and there is that brief, quiet recognition of genuine contact. These moments are not small. For Scorpio, they are some of the most important experiences available. They are what remind you that the depth you carry is not a burden but a gift, because it allows you to connect with other people in ways that most people never experience. Way 4. Your creative energy is aligning before this month ends, and this is the fourth way. For a period of time, this energy has been either suppressed or misdirected, applied to things that did not require your full creative self, or channeled into managing and surviving rather than into making and expressing. But something is shifting. The creative impulse that is natural to Scorpio, because make no mistake, yours is a profoundly creative sign, even if the creativity does not always take conventional artistic forms, is finding its true direction again. What does creativity look like for Scorpio? It looks like transformation, the deliberate shaping of raw experience into something meaningful. It looks like the deep dive, the willingness to go into a subject, a feeling, a relationship, a problem all the way without stopping at the comfortable surface. It looks like the patient building of something complex and layered and true, whether that is a work of art, or a relationship, or a career, or simply a way of living that reflects genuine values rather than inherited expectations. All of these are creative acts. All of them require the particular kind of engagement that only comes when your creative energy is aligned. Over the remaining days of this month, watch for the return of genuine creative engagement. Watch for the moments when you find yourself fully absorbed in something, so fully that time passes without your noticing, and you look up afterward feeling somehow more yourself than you did before. Watch for the ideas that arrive with a quality of rightness, a sense of yes, this is the thing I am supposed to be working on. Those ideas are not random. They are part of the alignment. They are your life showing you where your energy and your purpose and your gifts are supposed to converge. Way 5. The fifth way alignment is showing up in your life before this month ends is through your relationship with your own body. With your physical self, your physical health, your physical experience of being alive. This may seem like an unexpected area for alignment to show up, but for Scorpio it makes complete sense. You are an intensely embodied sign. Your feelings live in your body, your intuition speaks through your body, your stress expresses itself in your body, and your healing registers in your body. So when your life begins to align, the body knows it, and the body responds. What you may notice over the remaining days of this month is a gradual but real improvement in how you feel physically. Not dramatic, not miraculous, but genuine. A return of energy you had been missing. A reduction in the particular physical symptoms that stress and inner turmoil tend to produce. Sleep that is deeper and more restorative. A relationship with food and movement that feels more natural and less forced. A sense of inhabiting your body more fully and more comfortably than you have been. This physical alignment is not separate from the inner alignment you are experiencing in every other domain. It is the same alignment, expressing itself in physical terms. When your inner world clarifies, the body no longer needs to hold as much tension. When your relationships become more nourishing, the physical effects of depletion and stress begin to lift. When your creative energy finds its right direction, the body feels the difference between expression and suppression. All of this is part of the same coherent movement, your life organizing itself around a truer center, at every level all the way down to the physical. Honor your body's part in this alignment. Give it rest when it asks for rest. Give it movement when it asks for movement. Listen to what it needs rather than pushing through its signals. It is not working against you. It is working with you faithfully as it always has. And right now it is celebrating, in its own physical way, the alignment that is bringing your whole life into a new and better configuration. Way 6. Something about how you use your time is changing, and this is the 6th way alignment is showing up for you before this month ends. Time is one of the most revealing measures of what we actually value, as opposed to what we say we value or what we think we value. And when life begins to align, time almost always reorganizes as part of the process. The activities and obligations that were eating your hours without returning anything of real value begin to naturally recede. The things you had been meaning to make time for but somehow never quite getting to begin to find their way into your days. For Scorpio, the misuse of time, spending it on things that are not genuinely important, is acutely felt even when it is not consciously named. You feel the waste as a kind of dull dissatisfaction, a sense that the day passed but nothing real happened in it. You feel the rightness of time well used as its opposite, a quality of fullness and purpose and genuine engagement with what matters. When time is right, you know it, and when it is not, you know that too. Over the remaining days of this month, notice which activities are beginning to organize naturally around what is most important. Notice where your attention goes most readily and most willingly. Notice what feels worth spending a full hour on, and what feels hollow almost immediately. Let these natural movements guide you. You do not need to force a complete restructuring of your schedule or your commitments. Alignment does not work through force. It works through the gradual, organic recognition of what is true, followed by the willingness to let life organize itself around that truth. Some people watch, others transform. If you want to be in the second group, the 21-day guide in the pinned comment gives you a clear step-by-step process aligned with your sign. This isn't about waiting, it's about moving. Way 7. Your relationship with money and resources is beginning to find a more settled and stable quality, and this is the 7th way life is aligning for you. This does not necessarily mean a sudden financial windfall or a dramatic change in your material circumstances, though it might include something along those lines. More essentially, it means a shift in how you think and feel about resources, a move away from the anxiety and scarcity thinking that may have been coloring your relationship with material matters, and toward a more grounded and realistic and even hopeful sense of what is possible and what is available. Scorpio can go to extremes around resources, either holding too tightly, gripped by a fear of not having enough, or releasing too freely, as if abundance is best proven by not caring about it at all. Neither extreme serves you well. And what alignment brings to this area of your life is a more balanced and more honest relationship with material reality, one where you can acknowledge what you have without either clinging to it or dismissing it, and where you can look toward what you are building without either fantasizing or despairing. Over the remaining days of this month, watch for moments when your relationship with resources feels easier, when a financial decision comes more naturally, when you are able to look at your material situation with clear eyes and an open mind rather than with anxiety or avoidance, when you find yourself thinking practically and hopefully about what you are building, not as a replacement for inner richness but as a proper and necessary support for the life you are creating. Resources are not separate from the larger alignment you are experiencing. They are one dimension of the same coherent movement. And as everything else in your life moves toward greater alignment, this dimension will align along with the rest. Way 8. Your sense of purpose is aligning with your daily actions, and this 8th way is one of the most transformative and most meaningful of all. Because the gap between what we feel called to do and what we actually spend our days doing is one of the most persistent sources of inner friction for any thoughtful person, and particularly for Scorpio, whose connection to purpose is deep and whose tolerance for meaningless activity is low. For a period of time, there may have been a larger than comfortable gap between your sense of what you are here to do and how you are actually spending your time and energy. Not through any failure of character. Sometimes life demands that we tend to what is urgent rather than what is meaningful, and that is not a mistake, just a reality. But over time, that gap produces a specific kind of dissatisfaction, The feeling of being capable of more than you are doing, of being meant for something that your current circumstances are not quite reaching. Over the remaining days of this month, watch for this gap beginning to close. Watch for the moments when what you are doing feels genuinely connected to what you are for. When your daily actions carry a sense of direction, of contributing to something larger than the task itself. When the work in front of you, whatever it is, feels worth doing not just because it is required but because it is genuinely yours, a true expression of your particular gifts and your particular purpose in the world. This alignment between purpose and action will not arrive all at once. It comes gradually, as you make small but genuine choices to move toward what matters. But each choice builds on the last. And by the end of this month, the gap will be measurably smaller, and the satisfaction of living in genuine alignment with your purpose will be measurably greater. Way 9. Healing and peace are aligning in your life before this month ends. And this 9th way may be the one that touches you most directly and most personally. Because whatever you have been carrying, whatever unresolved pain, whatever old wound, whatever grief or loss or disappointment has been living in you without adequate resolution, it is beginning genuinely and palpably to heal. Not to disappear, not to be forgotten, but to heal. To become something you have genuinely metabolized rather than something still raw and demanding of your continuous energy. For Scorpio, healing is always thorough. You do not heal halfway. When you commit to a healing process, even an unconscious one, you go all the way in. You feel what needs to be felt, you understand what needs to be understood, you transform what can be transformed. And you emerge from the other side of it genuinely different. Not unscathed, but genuinely and meaningfully changed. This is one of your greatest capacities, and it is one that is actively working right now in your life. The peace that is aligning alongside the healing is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of groundedness, the deep, settled, hard-won sense of being okay, of being intact, of having what you need to meet whatever comes. This peace is not fragile. It has been built through difficulty, through the real and ongoing work of living your life with honesty and depth. And it is becoming more available to you, more consistent, more genuinely yours, with every day that passes through this month. Let the healing do its work. Let the peace find its ground. You have earned both, and they belong to you. By the end of this month, you will feel them more fully than you feel them today. Way 10. The 10th way life is aligning for you before this month ends is through a growing clarity about what you want and what you are willing to accept. This clarity, which sounds simple but is actually among the most difficult and most valuable things a person can develop, is the result of all the inner work, all the healing, all the simplification, all the honest reckoning with yourself that has been happening throughout this period of your life. It is the fruit of deep self-knowledge. And for Scorpio, it is arriving right on time. When you know clearly what you want, you stop spending your energy on what you do not want. You stop accepting situations that do not serve you out of habit or fear of the alternative. You stop saying yes when you mean no and no when you mean yes. You stop the exhausting work of managing your dissatisfaction, rather than addressing its source. Instead, your energy goes where it is actually meant to go, toward the things, the relationships, the activities, the goals that genuinely align with who you are and what your life is for. This clarity is not selfishness. It is health. It is the natural result of knowing yourself well enough to know what is right for you. And Scorpio, at your best, knows yourself very well. You have always had that capacity. What the alignment of this month is doing is returning you to the full expression of that capacity. To the grounded, clear, honest Scorpio who knows their own mind and is willing to act on it. Let this clarity guide you through the remaining days of this month. Let it inform your choices, your boundaries, your conversations, and your commitments. It is not leading you away from anything good. It is leading you directly toward everything that is right. Way 11. The 11th and final way life is aligning for you before this month ends is the most encompassing of all. It is the growing sense that your whole life, all of its pieces and dimensions and layers, is beginning to move in the same direction at the same time. Not perfectly, not without friction, not without the particular challenges that Scorpio's depth and intensity always attract, but coherently, in a way that feels, for the first time in a while, like it has a genuine trajectory. Like something is pulling together rather than pulling apart. This sense of coherence is one of the most profound experiences available, and it is not common. Most people live in compartments, the work life separate from the inner life, the relationship separate from the purpose, the physical self separate from the spiritual self. These compartments create a kind of fragmentation that is so familiar it becomes invisible. You stop noticing it because it has always been there. But when coherence arrives, when all the pieces begin to orient toward the same center, when the separateness gives way to a felt sense of wholeness, the difference is unmistakable. This coherence is what is coming for you before this month ends, Scorpio. It is the culmination of all the other alignments, the inner simplification, the circumstantial shifts, the relational deepening, the creative awakening, the physical grounding, the time well spent, the resource stability, the purpose aligned with action, the healing and peace, the growing clarity about what you want. All of these are pieces of a single larger movement. And that movement in its fullness is your life coming into genuine alignment with who you are and what you are here for. You have two options after this video: close it and hope things shift, or decide that the next 21 days will be different. If you choose the second, the structured 21-day transformation aligned with your sign is waiting in the pinned comment. The energy is already moving, the only question is whether you are. All 11 ways are already in motion, Scorpio. The alignment has already begun. The month is not over. And in the days that remain, something is building that will not only bring this chapter to a meaningful close, but will open the next chapter in a way that honors everything you have been and everything you are still becoming. Meet it fully, receive it fully, and know with the full depth of Scorpio knowing that this is exactly where you were always meant to arrive.